Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Coldcast. I'm your host, Dr. Anna Johnson. I'm Vice President of Marketing and Corporate Development at United States Cold Storage. And today, I'm very excited to have a conversation with our new Vice President of Technology, Bobby Kareer. Bobby's been with US Cold for over 3 years, and he's now responsible for leading our Center of Digital Excellence in Technology. Technology is very important to United States Cold Storage and just the industry as a whole. So I'm excited to learn what Bobby has in store for us today on the Coldcast. So welcome, Bobby.
Thanks, Anna. Good to be here.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Exciting.
So let's get started. US Cold's IT strategy really is a center. It really is a differentiator in the industry. So can you talk a little bit about how we differentiate against competitors and how we think about technology?
Yeah, sure. I think there are a few things, three kind of pillars that I think of. The first, just really about how we improve the efficiencies in our facilities. I mean, at the end of the day, this is our business, is to support our facilities. So technology is really a key enabler, right, for those facilities. So we're really thinking about our custom warehouse management system, really how we can, make that the best for our facilities, right, to make them efficient. That's one of our key pillars. I think the second one that's really important is how we become reliable partners for our customers. So if you think about giving them access to data, we're custodians of their products. So they need to know where it is, how it's doing, how can they put it on hold, how is it moving along the cold chain?
Right. So that visibility piece. Right.
Yeah. Huge,
because our name isn't on the packaging, right? If something happens and it's missing when it gets to, the retailer, it's not our name that's on it. It's our customer's name. So we want to make sure that we give them access to information so that they can, make those decisions and have a level of trust and comfort that we said their product is where it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think having things like our new innovations that we're doing with, the customer portal type of projects, we're just giving them more data and giving them data in the time that they need it effectively, efficiently, allowing them to search in different ways. So there's a lot of exciting things we're doing in that space.
Yeah.
And I think the third thing that I would say is it's not something that we've done a lot, but things that allow us to create value added services. So to become a reliable technology provider and partner. We're not really providers, but partners, right? To say, hey, you want to be able to access technologically, like call APIs, get data feeds, things like that. So we could think of that as something we might want to add on to and build on and make that like potentially some free tier services for some, easy access, things that we expect everyone to have.
Right.
But then if you want more capability, then you're asking us to do, more work. So therefore we think of that as a differentiator and say, hey, this is something that we would charge our customers for at different tiers. Right?
And I think too, it sets the foundation because a lot of times we want to be able to say yes to our customers. And so if we have the right foundation in place, we're able to do that because we have all the data, we can provide it, we understand what their supply chain needs are. So I think being able to say yes and just having that flexibility, I think is key. So what kind of unique IT initiatives or innovations that US Cold has or that we're working on right now that would set us apart from our competitors?
I think the WMS, that's our core asset, right? That runs all our facilities. So having that in-house and something that we built allows us to really do things with it that other people can and vendors cannot, right? So vendors do things on their time, on their schedule that meets a lot of their customers' needs. So we kind of just get in line. Here, we decide our own fate. We can say, hey, our facilities need this. So in our time, we decide what to do. We have the full capability of customizing it, making it what we need. So it services us.
Right. And so I think, years ago before, the 3PLs got this level of sophistication, a lot of the warehouse management systems were developed in-house.
Right.
So I think we're one of the unique 3PLs in that we still have a custom developed system that we're running on a large scale today.
Right.
So can you talk to me a little bit about how you think about that technology and how it's going to evolve in the future and what your thoughts are and plans?
Sure. I think we jumped headfirst into building the solution, and it's starting to show some of its weaknesses.
Yeah.
And as we try to service bigger clients, bigger facilities, we realize
automation.
Automation as well, absolutely. Right. So all these things, the requirements, kind of process change that is being asked for, and the speed at which we can do it is really, it's a friction point for the department. So we're really thinking about how do we make it such that we can give better and faster solutions with higher quality to our facilities, right? So part of that is really about architecture. Is it architected in a way such that we have these modules and modular systems? That's how modern systems are designed. That's kind of where I spent a lot of time in my previous roles trying to build those kinds of systems. So trying to bring that in, and also bringing leaders and technology leaders into my department that think in that natural way, right? To try and evolve from our current, what I would call a monolith, right, into more microservices and modular applications.
Is that what we're doing with the new rollout of EWM? We kind of modularized it?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a pathway that we're trying to set for ourselves. We've done some parts of it. I think layer picking is a good example of that. So we've built a new layer picker and a new algorithmic model for layer picking, and everything we did in that space kind of set us up for making that a modular piece. Right? Okay. So we're starting to get there, but we're still a long way away from actually having a fully modular system.
We'll talk about EWM and kind of the history there and how we ended up, I guess, in essence, rewriting the entire warehouse management system and deploying that.
The history, I would say the history is, I've been here for 3 years, so I know only a portion of that history. But I think from everything I've heard, we started off with, going with a big vendor, Cognizant, huge vendor, say, hey, build us the system, get the requirements, X number of years fast forward, and, with a big challenge with what they deliver, the quality. So we switched vendors, trying to recover from that situation, right? And now we've evolved to where it's the center of focus, or the center of IP, or the knowledge is now here in Camden. So if you think about the profile of the IT department, a lot of it was all remote vendors, all this sort of stuff. Now the center of mass is here in Camden, right? And I think the technology leaders that we have here are really able to think deeply about making a really scalable and sustainable system.
Right. So, can you talk to me a little bit about how IT plays a part in maintaining and enhancing the efficiency of the cold chain?
I think IT, technology plays a huge role. Everything that, gets product moving requires technology all the way through, right? So if it's a sort of an integrated part. One can't live without the other, right? They're kind of complementary things.
Right.
And, we're facilitators. Technology is always a facilitator of business process, right? So without these technology solutions, we don't have, the tools to really facilitate the movement of product in an efficient way.
Right. And I think, as we're trying to be innovative in automation and innovative in sustainability and all these things, technology brings, it's never in the driver's seat. It's in it's in the passenger seat. It makes the car drive, right?
Right.
So whatever we're trying to do, we're always trying to be as efficient as possible. And technology kind of plays a huge part in that.
Sure. Yeah. I think of it as the car. Actually, the drivers are our operators.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
We build the vehicle, right?
Yeah. They're in the driver's seat. They're the operators, but technology is in the passenger seat, kind of guiding the way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the GPS.
Yeah. For sure.
So we were talking about EWM and kind of the path. So, now we're in the rollout phase of EWM. So how does EWM integrate with other systems within US Cold?
So a lot of it kind of depends on the vendors that we have to integrate with. It depends on the systems, the types of technology they have, the mechanisms that they provide for integration. Some are more sophisticated than others. Some use messaging protocols, different types of messaging protocols. Some have good APIs, so you can actually say, hey, this is the way you actually talk to our system. So we integrate through those channels. Some people are less sophisticated. We have to drop files and share files. And those things require us to be sort of more diligent about the fail points, right? The well-designed APIs allow us to say, okay, these are clean interfaces. They allow us to, not have to worry so much about what happens if those things fail. When a file system fails, we have to add lots of layers of exception handling along the way. So that cost for us to integrate with those systems is much higher.
The other systems in the US Cold portfolio, really, a lot of them are off the shelf package solutions, right?
Right.
So do we make a concerted effort when we're implementing a new system or when we're selecting a new system to make sure that the integration will work between EWM and the other applications?
We try.
Yeah.
We do the best. Sometimes is time constraints that prevent us do the necessary due diligence. But I think going forward, we're much more diligent about asking the questions around what kind of capabilities do you have to allow us to have integrations? What are the data flows? What are the life cycles of the exchange of information? What kind of exception handling do they have? How do they share data? Because part of the problem also is we might be able to facilitate a business process between systems, but what happens as far as, well, now you own some of our data that is necessary for us, for our business intelligence, for us to have
to operate,
right? Into the overall mix of data that drives our business. So we need to be able to get that data into our data warehouse, for example. So do they have the necessary APIs, tools to allow us to do that? That also factors into our decision making.
So that's kind of a challenge. You just took on the VP of technology role. So talk to me a little bit about your vision for IT and how we think about it operating within the organization or within US Cold.
I think I'll still go back to those three pillars.
Yeah.
Right. Like you gotta build great systems, right? Think about how to improve our quality assurance. Think about how to architect solutions in a way that can support the business agility. Requirements are always changing, right? So you have to have good, solid architectures to support those initiatives. Look at generative AI. Look at other technologies and tools that are coming out in the market to facilitate our transition into those newer ways of doing things. And the second thing I said was just looking at things like our access to our system, so people know where their stuff is, right?
Yes.
And giving those APIs, those web portals, things like that are great things. So I expect that to be great partners, we have to be at the leading edge of that and show a great front end to our customers, right? A great experience for them.
So is that I don't think we've talked about the new customer portal that we're implementing.
Yeah.
So is that our previous EUS Cold is our previous visibility tool. So we're basically retooling that, and we're going to launch a new customer portal. So is that how people get visibility?
Absolutely, that's one way. But the customer portal is not just the front end.
Right.
Everything we're doing in that space is also to create APIs, just like we expect of our vendors. We say, hey, we have ways for you to get information from us without coming in through, entering the portal. So you have ways of getting access to your information through APIs, and we'll give you access to those as well. And we have to meter those things such that, look, if you start pulling out data from our systems continuously, you're going to have to start charging you. Right. There's going to be free tiers and then higher level tiers. So we're starting to think about how to expose that, but it's definitely in the plan.
Are we getting more requests for that?
We see different people starting to request that.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes they just request, they initially start off requesting, just give me this little bit of data. It just grows because as they realize the usefulness of that data, they start asking for more things, right? So I think we have to have our plan and our vision clear to say, this is how we'll give you information, right? And we're not going to give you custom information for every little thing that you want. You want to name something A versus B is not what we'll do, but we'll say this is what our data model looks like and how we talk about inventory, for example, right? These fields are what we expose. You have access to that, right? So we'll give you kind of a metered access and API to getting information from us.
So basically, it's kind of just, for lack of a better term, just opening the curtain and letting everybody see all the data, and they would interpret it however they felt like they were going to do it.
We would give them a dictionary, right?
Yeah.
Say, hey, this is our glossary of terms. I mean, we have initiatives around data governance, right? Like we have our BI team looking at that, right? Thinking about how are we going to manage data and how are we going to talk about data, right? In a consistent way. We want to get that out to our customers as well, so they understand what they're looking at.
So I know that the APIs are important, but in terms of the functionality for the customer portal, what can people expect when we roll it out?
speed. I mean, that's one of our big complaints, right? The pace at which they can access information. I think an interactive thing, some of the interesting things, maybe a preview would be like, we're really thinking about things like chatbots, right? Like something that uses large language models behind the scenes, similar to what people are starting to experience with ChatGPT and Gemini and other things like that. You're going to be able to do those kinds of things.
So what kind of questions can you ask it?
Think about a question. I'll tell you that if I can answer that.
Yeah. Say, hey, when is my load going to be picked up?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
things like, what's my inventory? Can you show me all the stuff that I have in inventory for this product that was received yesterday? Just that sentence will give you the right answer.
Okay. Very cool.
And that level of just natural language, right? To be able to support that natural language interface is going to be very interesting, I think, for our users.
Yes.
I think people will still be used to like the queries and the filters and all that kind of stuff.
And the reporting and all of those things.
Yeah, that would be like their natural go-to. But as they get exposed to stuff and we show them what the capabilities are, I think the paradigm will start to shift. And I think the paradigm's already shifting because people, the way they interact with technology in the world outside of the way they'll interact with a portal is already shifting.
Right.
So I think those paradigm shifts are happening. And if we kind of ride that same way, people will be natural. It'll be natural for them to do those similar things, right?
Right. And they'll be used to it.
They'll be used to it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what are some other features or functionality we can look forward to? What other previews are there for the web portal?
I think access to, customizable reports, giving them information like insights. And that's a really cool thing that the team is looking at is like, how can we tell you what you don't know?
Right. Exactly. Because that's what right. If you're able, if you come in there and you're able to tell them something they didn't know that they never knew before, that is so valuable and it provides so much benefit to customers. And that's great.
A lot of people do the, give me access to data and then let me query it, right? Like everyone does that, right? This would be a distinguishing factor, right? To say, hey, we're actually telling you about your product and what you could potentially do to facilitate. Some of your product is about to expire. You want to think about what do you want to do with this thing, right? Like, you've got product on hold. It's been sitting on hold for X amount of time. What do you intend to do with this?
Right.
There might be seasonality.
Or if it's already expired or it's about to go out of code date, then hey, if we know we can donate it to a food bank, that could automatically be linked. You hit a button and then you could do that.
Yeah, that would be really cool stuff.
But we're kind of building that infrastructure now to be able to
enable that.
Yes, that's fantastic. When can we expect the portal to be ready to go live?
Loaded question.
Yeah, loaded question.
Yeah. We expect to have some functionality released this year.
Okay.
Right. So can't say everything that will be there, but we want to get some of the core foundations ready. So to have something so people can actually at least interrogate.
Right.
Everyone wants to know where their inventory is.
Yes. Where's my stuff?
It was my stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the basic answer. Where's my stuff?
Right. Yeah. And I think that'll be something we definitely want to have. I would love to have the chat bot. I think because we did some internal POCs and demos of that kind of stuff already. So I think we should be able to release something, at least a preview of that this year as well.
That would be very cool. Yeah. And then talk to me a little bit about our TMS. So how do we think about our TMS optimizing transportation? What have we done there to make it, a better, more competitive, and actually give intelligence to transportation?
Yeah, obviously we have a third party vendor, right, refrigerated, that we use for that. It's worked okay. I think there are varying opinions about how well that functions. But one of the things that we have done is, we have a nice foundation for a transportation system that is used by a lot of people, right? So there's no competitive disadvantage, let's call it that way, right? So we're on the same playing field there. Then on top of that, we can build value-added services, right? So things like Smart Move is a great example.
Yes.
We funded that. And I think on the last count, it's actually saving us tremendous amounts of money, where it allows them the load planners to optimize load. So it's not them having to, connect things on the user interface in MercuryGate. The system actually gives them recommendations as to the best way to build the load so they can minimize cost. And we can then transfer those cost savings to our customers as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think we tried some of those projects during, we had a data science team. We tried some of those projects,
Right.
but I think it's great that we were able to come in and actually put that into use, and they get recommendations they can use and save money.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the key there is a partnership with the business and being really deeply connected with the people who understand the problems,
Right.
connecting those people with the people who can solve the problems, right? So I think that's been a differentiator rather than just push ideas, right? Say, oh, you want to try this, you want to try that? No,
Right.
let's, say what's happening, what problems do you really need to solve, and then really work towards solving those specific ones, right?
So, I mean, you've been here a relatively short amount of time, just because we've all been here for a long time. But is there, I mean, I know some IT people have been around for a long time, so they really understand the business. Is that a need to understand how the business works, or is it really understanding the technology that kind of makes you successful in your IT organization?
I think you need both. I mean, we have a department that has product people, right, who've come from, the warehouse, who've been in the industry for, 20 plus years, right? So they bring that aspect to the department. So you need both, right? You need to understand what the business is, what problems we're trying to solve, what challenges our facilities are facing, and you need to understand technology to be able to enable it. You need to be able to unwind this huge technology stack we have today. So having the people who have the right mindset about how they're going to re-architect this thing to become more flexible, to become more agile, is critical as well. Yeah.
So how do you go about attracting talent to IT? It's a very competitive market. So how do you do that?
It's hard.
If anyone would like a job, feel free to apply.
Right. No, I think it's a challenge. I think one of the things that we are able to do now with the Center of Mass Shifting is show the showcase of the number of people we have sitting downstairs in IT. I mean, that was probably less than half full.
Yes.
Now we're running out of space downstairs. So I think that attracts people because they see there's a strong developer community sitting downstairs. They want to come work with peers and with a place which is being invested in. They're like, hey, this is a place I could come. I'm not just going to be one of 3 developers.
Right.
I'm one of 20 developers. Right. And it's got a strong leadership team. Having those people interview with strong architects and leaders in the technology space gives them confidence they're coming to a great place. Right. Not just from a business standpoint. Because a lot of technologists, they're like, well, is the thing working in cold storage the thing for me? Or is it technology that excites me? Right. Most of them, they're excited by the technology. Right. So we have to find that balance where we get them excited about the warehouse management stuff that we do and our mission, but also the technology behind it.
Right. So what excites you about IT? What excites you about technology and United States cold storage?
I mean, I think the problems we solve are real, and
they're tangible. You can touch them. There's literally a problem you have to solve.
Yeah. And I think, I came from a vendor previously, so my interaction with the operations aspect of things was, reasonably limited.
Right.
You get to go and see customers and see that, but here you're part of it. You're part of the same company. So the interaction and that you have and the feedback that you get is just, just changes how you think about solving problems and what problems to solve. And also the excitement you feel from having delivered solutions. You see it real life.
Yes.
I could go to a warehouse. I can see, we just delivered that. Look at this thing's functioning here.
And I think that's actually the appeal of supply chain in general. Yeah. Because I remember studying it at college and, I thought, it's all math and moving money around is fun, but you get to actually see stuff move and stuff work.
Absolutely.
And there's a tangible thing that you watch that pallet move, you watch that pallet ship. It's on your grocery store. So it's real.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it fun too. And that's probably a big differentiator in how you retain talent. Yeah. Because they can touch it. Literally.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think we send our developers to the facilities to go lives. I mean, the go lives are not probably the best attractors because they're stressful. But when we send them other times when they go and actually see the work that they've done and the output and how it's facilitating, the business, it's something real.
Yeah. Well, how do you facilitate collaboration with operations and with other people in the field?
We're having conversations, open dialogue. We have our gap teams going, visiting facilities. We have our support teams who go and talk to people, see what are they struggling with. Just different avenues. I think we're always open to a conversation, always, excited to hear about new things that people are thinking about. I mean, obviously, to be fair, a lot of people will probably thinking, well, you guys are so focused on just going live in Phoenix that you haven't, paid enough attention to some of the new ideas. And that's a fair assessment, to be honest, right? Because we have a mission from our board, from our management team, our leadership team. We need to get these things rolled out, right? We need to get Phoenix in every facility. So it's sort of a bittersweet thing at the moment. But
how do you balance it?
I mean, look, we give a certain amount of IT capacity to working on what we call top 10 or top things that our businesses are really concerned about now, right? So it's like more of a budgeting thing. I know I'm going to put 80% of my budget on getting all the Phoenix sites rolled out on that, but I'm going to put 20% on looking at existing stuff, right? So that's sort of the best we can do right now,
right?
to facilitate that, those to keep moving that along as well, right?
So when is the kind of the date for when Phoenix will be completed? And by the way, Phoenix is our new EWM that we rewrote and we're rolling out, and we've already done 10 sites.
We're at versions 19, so we have some sites that we divested. So I'd say in total we did at least definitely 18 sites. 18 sites,
okay. Yeah. I stand corrected. 18 sites.
Yeah. So I think we're close to halfway through the journey.
Okay.
Yeah. Date. Look, it's just something I can't really give you a firm answer for. I mean, we have aspirations, like 2028 is sort of an aspirational thing at the moment. And we sat down with our leadership team and really thought about, well, what is it going to take really to get to that date?
Right.
And do we agree that this is a reasonable date, right? So I think we did get some consensus that is something that we hope to achieve or are shooting to trying to get to. But all the work that we have to do to get there. And I think what we're trying to do now that's different is, so set an aspiration, but ask the team, well, what is it going to take? What are the success factors? What are the critical success factors? So we did that this year. So it was an amazing experience with the whole department, all my leadership team, including Andrew's implementation leadership team. We kind of sat down together and really just debated, talked about what are the things that are really going to make this successful, right? Then we whittled it all down to say, what are our critical success factors, right? Like, what are the top 5 things we need to start doing now?
Critical to quality, yes.
Yeah, to get to that vision, right? To achieve that vision. And then from there, action plans. So it has to be very methodical, right? Start with common vision, common shared vision. Do we believe this thing? Yes, we have a good, solid set of people who believe that we can achieve this thing.
Right.
Now we've come up with success factors, critical success factors, and then action plans in which we follow on a quarterly basis, see how we're doing against those things. Are we actually applying those, doing the things that we say are going to be important to our success?
And do they matter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Are they succeeding?
Yeah.
Are they proving out that they were actually critical for our success?
So we kicked off in 2023, kicked off 6 new building projects. So how do you guys handle that? If it's an expansion or if it's a new build, does the new WMS go in there, or does the legacy system go in there?
We have directives at this point that all new facilities will go on Phoenix.
Okay.
That's the directive, right? And we're happy with that because that kind of forces us to follow a strategic path.
Right.
Say, hey, everything new and strategic to the business is going to go on our new platform, right? And I think that's a reasonable statement.
Right.
I think, we're happy with that kind of narrative being out there.
But how do you handle expansions?
So expansions, again, I think it depends on the timeline that we're trying to achieve for a particular expansion, but we're using the same mechanism for that.
Okay.
So all the new expansions that we're doing, any kind of, again, those are strategic initiatives, right? So anything to do with automation, any expansions, we try to push them onto Phoenix, right?
Okay.
And prioritize Phoenix for those sites.
Okay. And let's talk about automation. So can you share any insights on upcoming automation projects that have the IT departments involved in?
We're involved in every automation project. I mean, what is automation? It's the machine operation,
the robots, yes, all of it, yes.
Within that material flow, right? So the things that were done by humans are being done through that machine, whether it's conveyor or SRS, those kinds of systems. So we have to have our WMS system have clear handoff points to those systems. So it's all the integration, right? The messaging to say, okay, we instructed this thing. Let's call it a black box, right? To do something. It moved the product here. Then we have an operator, give them a task to pick it up from here and put it away on a rack, for example, right? We do that with our conveyors and our B&A. We've heard of the multifarious solution, right?
Okay, this is the third time someone's mentioned multifarious. So if you want to sound smart, you'll just mention that and you'll say, I heard it from Larry Oliver.
Exactly. It's basically what that is just the combination of conveyors and B&A, right? It's a lower cost solution than a full-on ASRS, for example. But if we get that right, we can really think about a reasonable cost automation solution, which we can kind of replicate in more and more facilities.
Right.
And I think that's a great strategy.
Yes. And then, when we think about, because one of the things that I think about is cybersecurity, right? We've had a couple of incidents where competitors have had challenges with cybersecurity. So how do we think about it, and how are we kind of taking some steps to make sure that the data is protected?
It's a lot of conversations between different departments, really awareness, right? Making sure people understand what is out there. So Matt and his team, Matt Brennan, who's our head of cybersecurity, does a fantastic job trying to just get that awareness out there.
Right.
Maybe sometimes it's scare tactics, but I think we need some of that stuff, right?
Yes, I'll never click on an email from an unknown person ever. Ever.
Absolutely.
I'm terrified.
And we're maturing even in our data space, right? So we have a lot of data floating around, a lot of people with different access levels. We don't have real control over that. And I think as we mature, we're trying to put guardrails around those things, right? I think a lot of people will be like, well, that feels, I can't do as much as I used to be able to do. Well, and it comes with the territory, right? We have to first protect our assets, right? Protect our customers' assets, right?
Yes.
Data is that's their IP.
Right. Exactly.
That gets out there, right? Yep. They can use it for, nefarious purposes.
I mean, even as an example, we had a competitor in our industry. They got shut down. They couldn't ship. They couldn't receive for weeks.
Right.
So that's a huge impact to us and to our customers at large. So, we want to make sure that data is protected.
Yeah. I mean, there's the data protection aspect of things. And then there's how are we making sure that people aren't bringing our systems down?
Right.
So they're getting, viruses into our networks and, basically disabling our actual business systems. Right. So that's something that, Matt and team are constantly looking at. What's coming in, what kind of threats are out there, what's happening on the dark web. These guys are always out there really just, scouring what's going on. Right. And they have top tools out there monitoring what's happening, what kind of things look suspicious. We have AI based tools that are actually looking for anomalies in access things. Right. So where is it coming from? Is this an unusual kind of load happening? All that kind of stuff is, is built into some of these more advanced tools that we're using.
So our cybersecurity team, I think, is probably much more advanced than a lot of cybersecurity organizations out there. And I think that it's so important to make sure that we've communicated that with customers, and customers know that, we are constantly making sure that we are protecting their data and protecting our operations. Absolutely. Because again, we want to be able to continue to service and support our customers as much as possible. So talk to me a little bit about, again, you're new to the role. So talk to me a little bit about how you envision leadership and how you want to manage your employees, how you think about all that.
Yeah, I would say, having gone through a lot of leadership training here at US Cold, my view on leadership has shifted.
Okay.
Right? I think I operated more on a more of a directive type of model before, just hey, I got a lot of knowledge, I know a lot of things, I've been around for a long time. These are the things to do. And that has its place, right? I think leadership is always about flex. You have to be able to flex your style depending on the need, right? That's
a very good point. Yeah.
Hugely important. Some moments call for extra sensitivity. Some moments call for more,
collaborative work. Yeah.
Well, those are the places we want to aspire to. I always aspire to that now, right? Collaborative style, right? But I'm an opinionated guy, so I think about know me, right? So, but yeah, I think giving people challenges is important, but collaborating and coming up with common ideas, right? To be able to bring them along to the concept, right? Not just saying do this, right?
Right.
It's do they believe in it, right? The best solution would be where the ideas come from them, right? Because
that's
commitment,
much easier change management. Yes.
Yeah. Your commitment to execute your own ideas are 10 times more than
Mm-hmm.
your commitments to execute my idea, right? I think this is the leadership kind of things that we've learned, and it's so true.
Yeah.
You can see it happening every day. It unfolds. You see that show itself up. Like it proves itself true every day.
Well, and I think that your enthusiasm for U.S. cold in general, I see you're very enthusiastic. You're very passionate about this, and so I'm curious, like why is U.S. Cold a great company? Why does it excite you?
I think the culture is just the biggest thing. And it was funny because I think Mickey and I talked about it, and he said, "Oh, the culture." And when I first started, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what do you
right?
think?
Exactly.
What's so special about the culture? And it's just the care.
Yeah.
The care for each other, care for our customers, and care for community. Those 3 C's. I mean, if you count diamonds have 3 C's, we have 3 C's. So that's my view of U.S. Coal and its culture.
Yeah.
And I feel connected to that now. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Cause I mean, it's very interesting. You're IT, you have a very strong IT background, but yet you have such passion for the industry. So that excites me. So what else excites you? What else in IT and in the industry excites you?
I think there's a lot of opportunity to improve things. I mean, I think cold chain it's not always at that top, at the forefront of technological innovation. Right. Right. We're slow to adapt things. So the opportunities are huge to improve stuff. So I think that's exciting.
Yes,
right?
that is very exciting.
The impact that you can have through technology on our industry is massive. I think people have been talking about blockchain for 10, 15 years, right? I'm sure we've all heard of that.
I actually wrote a paper on blockchain.
I would love to be in conversations at an industry level because you can't really have that effect just locally.
Right.
It has to be more of a global type of thing. I mean, you're familiar with that, right? So if we were able to facilitate something that really gave us true transparency and a single source of truth was one of the biggest problems with moving products around. It's handoff, right?
It is.
My view of the world and your view of the world are different,
right?
Because we have different copies of it. Like if I could have one copy of it,
exactly,
that changes everything, right? All the way through the supply chain, just facilitating that flow would just, I think it would make huge savings in terms of, the cost of building things, right? And the cost of reconciling stuff. I know in the financial industry, it's entirely $1 billion industry just dealing with reconciliation. Right? I don't know the equivalent costs in the supply chain world, but I'm sure it's not insignificant.
Right. So that excites you.
It does.
Yes. Is there anything else that you want the viewers for the Coldcast to know? Any other interesting things that are going on in IT?
I think the Gen AI stuff is super exciting to me, to our department. Just how do we get more information through this tool, right? Like use natural language. I mean, we're just piloting things like Copilot internally, and we're seeing things like, asking questions of it. And it's like scouring our emails, scouring our documents and saying, oh, this might be relevant to what you're looking for. That level of intelligence that enables us to become so much more productive is just so exciting. Like I think everyone's going to benefit from it. I mean, IT is benefiting from it just from the work that we have to do. But I think it'll be one of those things that brings us closer together. Yeah. Right.
Yes. Rather than someone having to remember what they did 20 years ago in an old system, it's like you can call it up and you have all these options to look at and things to review. So I think that is very fascinating.
I mean, I asked a question the other day. I didn't even realize that it was going to go and find this information. And I found documents like from 15 years ago referencing that point. It's like, there's no way I would have been able to find that.
Right. After searching through all of your old emails. But it's amazing. You type it in, you pull it up, and you have all of these points of reference and kind of a history of what you're looking for. Yeah. So I do think it's fascinating. And I guess, anything else you want to share?
No, I think it's an exciting time in the industry. It's an exciting time in technology, and the world's changing at such a rapid pace. And, I'm just looking to capitalize on some of those opportunities. And we've built,
I think we've built a great foundation from a technology stack, just from everything that we're doing from a process perspective, that we are flexible, we are adaptable, and we can be ready for anything because of the way we've set it all up.
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of good stuff in that space. We have a lot more to do, but, I think that is absolutely right. that gives us a competitive advantage because we're thinking of things in the right way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Bobby, for joining us. I really appreciate it. We talked about, AI, automation, cybersecurity. We talked about multifarious, not really sustainability, but we kind of covered all those topics and our new EWM that we're rolling out and our visibility tool. So I think we've learned just an incredible amount about how US Cold's IT functions and how we've set it up. So I really, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you so
me.
much for joining us.
Awesome.
All right, guys. See you later. Stay cool.